Hello and welcome to this week's vlog. This is me post-holiday, hence why I'm looking a little bit more glowy and less corpse-like, introducing the vlog. In this vlog, I go to Stockholm for 48 hours on my own, and then Dean and I go to Sicily for 2 weeks. I wanted to show you quickly what I packed when I went to Stockholm, because I am a notorious overpacker, and I was so impressed with how little I packed. I know I was only going for 48 hours, so I didn't even need to pack lots, but even if I'm going somewhere for that short amount of time, I will overpack because I like to have options. But I set myself the assignment of carry-on only, and I managed to fulfill that assignment very well. All I needed was a day look and a night look, and I made sure the night look used pieces from the day look, so I really kept packing clothes, especially, to a minimal. And B, I didn't get a chance to show you when I got to Stockholm because you will see shortly that the lighting in my hotel room was absolutely horrendous, so it wasn't the environment to show you. I also packed light, I have to admit, because I wanted to do some shopping whilst I was in Stockholm. I wanted to get a few pieces from By Malena Burger, so I was saving room in my case for those pieces. Right, I'm going to show you what I travelled in and then kind of this was my travel outfit and also what I wore whilst walking around Stockholm. So this was the travel and walking around Stockholm look. Thank you to the person who at the very last minute, I think it was like 2 hours before I was going to leave the house to go to the airport, let me know that Stockholm was a little bit chilly, because I think I would have been a bit cold in just this. So I quickly shoved a thin grey cashmere jumper in my suitcase, and I'm really glad I did, because it was really sunny, the weather was beautiful, but there was just that little chill in the air, which was actually perfect for walking around a city in, because it meant I didn't overheat, and I was very comfortable in just cashmere jumper, blazer and jeans. But yeah, that grey cashmere jumper was a saviour. Totem blazer, which has a very long belt, so when I'm wearing it open I tend to just do like a tie detail behind, otherwise it really flaps at the side. Plain t-shirt from Jean Erica, La Mer croissant in the medium size. I used to have, some of you might remember, I used to have the small size in like a pistachio green. Beautiful colour, but I found the size just wasn't practical, especially because of the shape of the bag. I just felt like I couldn't really fit much in there. The medium size is definitely my favourite. I love the large, but on my frame it's just too big. I feel like the medium is just perfect, and it's a really good bag for when I'm out all day and I'm carrying a little bit more than I usually would with me. So like water bottle, book, I have like a pouch where I keep all my cables and makeup in for the day, phone, wallet, sunglasses, you know, all the stuff that I'd carry around with me fits in this just great, and it's a very comfortable bag. Arquette belt, quite an old one, vintage men's 501s. They're so baggy, but they're so soft and comfortable. I love them. And then the Row mesh flats, and then sunglasses wherever they are. Then to take this from day to night, remove the t-shirt. You will see this in the vlog at some point, but I had a black tank top that I put underneath the blazer, wore my linen skirt from the Row. This was also a Vestiaire Collective find. Cinched the blazer in so that this was just sort of like bare. Wore a statement necklace, and then used this, you all know what this is because this is practically a personality trait at this point, some sort of coping mechanism. Like tied this around my waist so it sort of poked out underneath the blazer as a little point of interest, and then took my Prada bag, because I didn't want to use this as an evening bag. Just stuffed this with like underwear and socks and things so that I was utilising space in my case. I am linking my Vestiaire wish list in the description box, because I've been going through as much as I can trying to like save bags of a similar nature. When this bag does pop up in the various sizes that it came in, it tends to go within like a couple of hours. So it's hard to kind of like let you know when they're available, because by the time I've shared them they're gone. But yeah, that will be in the description box. So yeah, you'll see the look, but that was it. That's all I packed, and I was so pleased with myself because it took a lot of anxiety away from it, because it was like, right, this is all I've got. This is all I've got for the day. That's all I had for the evening. Done. Okay, now that that's done, I will let the vlog commence. very grey and rainy Stockholm. Not too dissimilar to back home actually. A very express trip before we go to Sicily. I only really have one full day here, so there's not a lot of time to really do much. The main reason I'm here, and you're never going to believe this, I'm here to celebrate a new launch from Nordic Knots, the great rug company. I can't remember if I've shown the rug that we have that sits under our dining table. We've got a beautiful like moss green coloured rug. Well, they've just launched curtains. Why could they not have launched this 2 months ago when I was shopping for curtains? I'm quite excited to see what they do because I love their rugs. First things first, I'm going to go get a coffee and a pastry because apparently there's a very, very good pastry place. I'm staying at Hotel Diplomat, literally just down the road. The pastry place apparently is just down the road. I also might, just because I'm in the area, I might check out an acne store because you know this is the home of acne. Sorry, I'm really struggling to get my book in. Oh, it's because the bookmark. Yeah, so because it's the home of acne, it feels only apt to check out one of the stores. Might pop into Totem again. Would just like to see the store because all the photos of it look beautiful. And then lunch with my agency, and then because it's literally over the water, I think I'm going to go to the National Museum. It looks quite cool, and I think that's all I'll have time for, you know. Oh, this is the new trim, by the way. I went quite short. I really like it. I'm really into this like properly short hair. It's also extremely easy to just wash and let it dry and not have to do anything with it. Yeah, I'm really liking how low maintenance it feels and just how fresh it feels. At first I was like, oh, I think I've gone too short, but now that I've sat with it for like almost a week, I absolutely love it. Other things of interest, I can't really show you my outfit because my room's not, I mean the light's really bad and I don't think I can get far back enough. But having a real silver day today, silver earrings, ring, bracelet and belt. Right, let's go. Timings were all off today and have not really immersed myself in as much of Stockholm as I hoped I would today, but I was probably kidding myself thinking I could cram in all the stuff I wanted to do in less than a day. So just managed a kind of brief walk around the area where the National Museum is and just went into the free bits of the National Museum. But yeah, my meeting at lunch went over more than I thought it would. So yeah, it's just been like a kind of just a leisurely stroll for an hour, and I'm going to head back to the hotel and get myself ready for this evening's activities. And yeah, then tomorrow I have breakfast with my agency and then I'm off. So fleeting. I always think 24 hours in a city just isn't, like, it's not a thing. 48 maybe, but 24, like, it's just not, it's not enough. But it was lovely to just see just the architecture in Stockholm is incredible. So it's been really nice just walking around, observing that. Right, I'm unsure which jacket to wear this evening. This is the jacket that I went into by Milena to try on. I saw it on Nissi in Copenhagen, and then I saw her in it again in one of her 7 days, 7 looks videos. And I was like, I really, really want to try that, because Nissi's maybe a tiny bit shorter than me. So I feel like anything I see on Nissi, I'm like, okay, that works for her. It's going to work for my height. And I had no intention of buying it. I just wanted to try it on for size. And then when I got home, I was probably going to dig around for a discount code to use on another website. And then I was just chatting away to the sales assistant, and she asked where I lived, and obviously said I was in the UK, and she said, oh, well, if you buy anything today, FYI, you get your tax back at the airport. And I was just like, right, okay, I'm going to buy this here, because then I think with the exchange rate, it worked out a little bit cheaper to buy it here anyway, rather than buy it on another website. So she has saved me money. I thank her for that. I always forget that now that we are out of the European Union, actually when we shop, we can get tax back. So this is the jacket. It's quite an awkward length, and I really like that. I think with like column shapes, it looks quite cool. So it's between this jacket. I'm pretty much going for the same look I wore, some of you might remember in the vlog before this. I went out for dinner and I pretty much wore this same look. I had flip-flops on though, but I don't think flip-flops are the right shoe for this evening. Also, it's a bit chilly, so I've gone for my row glove shoes. Yeah, so it's this jacket, and then I would wear it open. Great sleeve length. I really appreciate this bracelet length, because pretty much all blazers are too long in the arm for me, and I love how wide it is. Just a very beautiful detail, which I think is what balances out this kind of like awkward mid, like it's not really long, but it's not short. And I think the whole sleeve and just the way the buttons are really helping with this whole balancing situation. Or I wear the totem blazer that I wore last time and really cinch it in. Okay, I've gone for totem blazer. I very nearly went for the by Milena jacket, but I felt like what I had on underneath just wasn't quite like enough. I think it needed something a bit more interesting underneath to warrant wearing it open, if you know what I mean. It just felt a bit meh with it open and just like a black tank and the skirt. I know I had the totem scarf on, but it just wasn't, something wasn't quite right, and I don't have lots of stuff with me to kind of like play around with style. Changed out the jewellery this time. I'm not wearing a statement earring or anything. I've gone for a statement necklace. This one's from Coralie. Lee Studio ring again though, and then a silver cuff from Monica Veneda. This is terrible lighting and is not doing any of these pieces justice. Oh, so when I get to Sicily, I'll be able to really showcase all of this beautiful jewellery in a much better light and setting. Hopefully I'm in shot, in focus. I can't see a thing because the sun is shining directly at me. Hello from Alicudi. Alicudi is one of the Aeolian islands off of Sicily's mainland. It is, welcome to your Alicudi geography lesson. It is 5 kilometres squared, so it's pretty small, but it's not the smallest. I think Panarea is the smallest of the islands, which is 3.2 kilometres squared. However, Panarea is more densely populated than Alicudi. This is all information I've read and managed to retain, surprisingly. Whereas Alicudi has a population, I think, of 70 to 80 permanent residents. So not many at all, and the island's only inhabited on one side. So there's not a lot here. I've never been to any of the Aeolian Islands, but when I was reading about them, lots of people were saying that Alicudi feels like the most rugged and the most sort of like untamed and wild of all the islands. And while I can't make that comparison, it certainly does feel like it's kind of just been left, and it does feel very rugged. Alicudi is also known as the Island of Silence, and I truly didn't know peace until I arrived here. Like, we live in a fairly quiet area back home, but you know, you always have that hum of like traffic or you know, just like your neighbours around you, like always in the background. But Alicudi doesn't have any roads, so there's no cars. Oh, there's a bug. The only noise, I mean, there's a bit of a breeze right now, so you might hear the rustling of trees. But when it's completely still, the only thing you can hear is just the sea and the occasional bird just tittering away in the background. Not squawking like they do at home, just making noise in a very soothing way. And the occasional boat. Aside from that, it is deathly quiet. It was quite eerie at first when we arrived, just because I'm not used to it. And now that I've kind of lent into it, it's incredible and it's complete bliss. It's just amazing. So the island is, like I said, there's not much on the island. This is very much a place you come to just relax. And you either come to relax or you enjoy hiking. Because you can walk around the whole island, but because it's so steep, it's just a continuous incline of steps, and it is hardcore. It was about 620 steps for us just to get here, and we're not even at the top yet. We're pretty high up. I think we're like 200 meters above sea level, but you can continue going and you can kind of go around the entire island. I've seen quite a few people hiking around, but it's definitely not for the faint-hearted. But there is 2 restaurants, but they're only open during like peak season. I think they close next week. There is 2 small supermarkets and a post office, which I think has some small medical supplies in it. But if you need anything else, I think people go over to Lipari, which is the biggest of the Aeolian Islands. The woman who welcomed us here was saying that she has to go over to Lipari to the dentist, so she gets the ferry over. So yeah, there is really not a lot. It's quite back to basics on Alicudi. It's absolutely stunning. I'm in awe of the views from every direction. Just endless sea, and so much just beauty in like the foliage and like the landscape of the island as well. So we're here for 5 days. I am hoping to just have 5 days of reading and just really doing nothing. We probably won't be going down to the port regularly, probably only do it once a day, because the walk up is quite tough. You know, you can't just pop down to the port, so it means that you kind of really embrace where you stay, but then when you go down to the port you really kind of embrace that and really enjoy that as well. So I think it'll be just like, we'll spend the days here and then we'll go down to the port, have a swim, have a drink, maybe have some food, and then make our way back up. So I think the wise thing to do is either do it very early in the morning or once the sun has gone round the island. So yes, I hope you enjoy my 5 days of Alicudi. So obviously 620, whatever we said, steps down means 620 steps up. And it doesn't matter what time of day you do it, it is tough.
We've had a few beers.
We've had a few drinks.
We've got to get out before it gets dark.
Imagine if you were like absolutely pissed as a fart trying to do this walk back. It wouldn't happen. You'd just...
There's so many places to just die.
Or just pass out in someone's doorway, or just on the steps. Just wiping the sweat off my top lip. It's like mid-30s today, like 35 degrees. Wild. So we've arrived in Scopello. This is the second portion of our trip. We are kind of staying just outside of the actual centre of Scopello. So we're probably about a 12-minute walk away from like restaurants and bits like that. If you are familiar with how the coastline is here, you've got the Tonara, which is in that sort of like bay. Then you've got the rocks that jut out with that, do they call it Fraglioni? Sorry, I'm probably butchering that. And then you've got that sort of like castle-like structure. Then it kind of dips in again. You've got like another bay. We're staying in that bay. And where we're staying, we can actually see the rocks from our villa. So we're here for 4 nights, and it's nice to be in a place where we can do a little bit more exploration. Not that we have intentions to do loads of exploring, but versus Alicudi, where it's very much like you just chill out, you don't really do anything. It's nice to now be somewhere where we've got restaurant recommendations and a few bits and pieces that we want to see. The guy who owns this place recommended a pizza place in Castellamera, and he said it was the best pizza he's ever had in Sicily, which I think is a pretty bold claim. And we're both craving a pizza because we've eaten pasta pretty much every day since we got here, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not complaining.
Sandwiches.
We've been eating a lot of pasta and a lot of just like ham and cheese sandwiches. So it would be nice to just mix up the carbs that we are eating. Keep it carb.
And we're in it. Well,
And we're in Italy, yeah.
Sicily.
Keep it carb, but just have some different types of carbs. So I think we're going to try book that. You know, when you're on holiday and you sort of just like get ready in the evening and go out for dinner, I've missed that part of the holiday. Like Alicudi was lovely, but it's not a place where you would, well, you could get dressed up and go for dinner, couldn't
But then
you?
you've got to walk down 600
Well, yeah,
steps.
you've got to walk down 600
Just
steps and then walk back up again, and nah, I'm not dressing up for that. But we did see that one guy who was like in a suit, and he was like proper.
Very slick.
He was very slick looking.
We saw him a few days.
We
as
did
well.
see
He
him a
was there
few
for while.
times, yeah. But you know when you're on holiday and you've like sat by the beach and then you're all sort of like a bit, you know, like covered in salt, and you're just like, right, I'm gonna go chill out and then get ready for a night, like a nice dinner. I like that part of a holiday.
Not exactly bread and oils.
Learning to lean into the Italian way of having a late afternoon coffee. We didn't usually have a coffee after like 1 p.m. at home, but with the volume of pasta that we're eating, I don't think I could make it through the afternoon without a coffee to pick me up again. Yeah, we just went for lunch and it was great. It was absolutely delicious at this place called Neptuno in Scopello, but we kind of misread the menu and thought we were getting just like bread with some olives to start, and actually got served what I would say was a pretty big sandwich each with cheese, tomatoes and olives in it. It was so delicious, but because we'd then ordered a plate of pasta each, we were just like, we cannot eat all of this. So now we're both in a bit of a, well, I say bit, probably the heaviest carb coma I think I've ever been in, hence the coffee.
I want to go and float in the sea.
Yeah, and we need to go for a swim, don't we? I love pasta, We've eaten pasta every single day. Oh dear.
Pop me in the sea.
Someone airlift you to the sea. In absolutely no relation to the pasta overload, it was at this point during the trip that Dean got quite ill, so there will now be a bit of disconnect from Scopello to Taormina and then from Taormina on to Cefal.
Ready?
Yep. Woo!
With that for grace.
You're a bit ill, aren't you?
Yeah.
Got sick. I mean, there's worse places to feel ill. Well timed though, just as we arrived at a Belmont with like a mega comfy bed and just all of the home comforts you could need. Had a very nice morning, haven't we? Just sat at the beach, been doing some diving off the rock. And then,
Sorry, this is the chewiest bread.
and then just now gonna have some lunch and head. So we were at Villa San Andrea, and then we're gonna head over to Timio, which is more in the centre of Taormina tonight. An unflattering angle, that's a bit better, isn't it? And then we're off to Cefal tomorrow, aren't we, for the final section, final chunk of our Sicilian holiday. Duty. Lovely bread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Dean. I mean, there are worse places to be ill.
Well, I can only be ill here for
Yeah, we've got 1 hour till checkout. Okay, now in Cefal for the final few nights of our Sicilian adventure. Just popping a bit of slap on in preparation for going into town for dinner. There will be a bit of a disconnect from like Scopello to now, mainly because Dean was quite ill during our time in Taormina, so all of our plans were just completely scrapped, and we just stayed at the hotel and just chilled. We did actually walk into Taormina for like 20 minutes, but it was super busy and Dean wasn't feeling great, so we just headed straight back to the hotel. But actually it was really, really nice to just surrender ourselves to just relaxing at the hotel and just enjoying the experience of a Belmont. To be transparent, we had one complimentary night at Villa San Andrea and one complimentary night at Timio. Both hotels were impeccable from start to finish. The entire experience was like nothing I've ever experienced in a hotel. Service, food, views, setting, rooms, interiors, just everything was just incredible. And if you stay at either of the hotels, you can use the facilities at the other hotel, if that makes sense. So if you're at Sant Andrea and you fancy going for dinner at Timeo, they will shuttle you over, and vice versa. Like if you're at Timeo and fancy some time down at the beach at Sant Andrea, again, they'll just shuttle you over. And we did Sant Andrea first, and then when we checked out, they just like whizzed all of our luggage straight over to Timeo rather than us having to like get it and then take it over. They just like, yep, don't worry, your luggage will be waiting for you at Timeo when you get there. It was like, you know, just like things like that that just make your life so much easier. Like I don't even know if I'll ever experience a hotel like that again. It's incredibly special and just, yeah, the most just amazing hotel experience. Anyway, that's done now. Very sad to leave. Dean is feeling a bit better. We arrived in Cefal last night and just chilled. So tonight is our penultimate night, so we're going to go into the town centre, catch the sunset, get a pizza, have a little wander around, and then our final night tomorrow we'll probably have dinner here at this hotel. We're staying at a hotel called Hotel Calura. It's probably like a 25-minute walk into Cefal from here. The bay that we're in is so nice. So the hotel interiors wise isn't really anything to write home about, but the setting is beautiful and the access to the private beach is so nice. Like just really a great feature to just be able to just literally toddle down the stairs and you're at the private beach with lounges and a little beach bar. The water's beautiful, it's really clear, it's really nice and rocky, and yeah, it's just all round really good. This vlog has not consisted of many holiday fit checks. Apologies. Most of what I've been wearing is all... Someone's been there. Most of what I've worn is stuff that you've all seen before. I feel like my summer wardrobe is often just like old stuff, like a lot of just rewears. Anyway, she says wearing a new tank top and obviously the new... Couldn't come to Italy and not bring the Prada bag. So yeah, Prada bag from Vestiaire, which by the way, I have kind of been trawling through Vestiaire lately, adding bags of a similar nature to my wish list. I can't find this exact bag from Vestiaire at the moment, but that could change. So if you're interested in just having a browse through my wish list at said bags, then, sorry, the exposure keeps going weird, then I'll leave a link below. This is a tank from Lex Finger Manchet, quite an old one though, so probably not available. Trusty Arquette belt. Then I'm going to run back and try and show you my Mateau chinos. The big, the baggy, the kind of preppy. I feel like they work quite well with the tank. And then I think I might just keep flip-flops on. I was going to put my Alaya mesh flats, but I feel like it might be a bit too busy. I'll still try it. And then this Lee Studio ring, and then this cuff I'm utterly obsessed with. I got it from Pre-Clothes, my favourite vintage seller. And yeah, it's just a really good, nice statement piece of jewellery. I might put on maybe, do I need a necklace or some earrings? Do you know what? I actually feel like this is fine. This is enough. This and the tank are enough of a statement. nasal. Whatever was in my head has now travelled to my nose. I'm going to finish the vlog with a book roundup of what I read while I was away. So if you're not interested in books, then I recommend you switch off now, because after this section, the vlog will be finito. So I will start with Fleischmann is in Trouble. I don't have any of the physical books, unfortunately, because everything was on my Kindle while I was travelling. Fleischmann is in Trouble, I started that before I even went to Stockholm and only finished it once we were in Alicudi. It was quite a slog. It wasn't the book that I thought it was going to be. When I read the blurb, I thought it was going to be like a sort of crime mystery book of a husband trying to find out where his wife has disappeared to. It wasn't that at all, really. It was more of a book about marriage and the breakdown of a marriage and how there's two sides to every story. And unfortunately, I do not find books about marriage that interesting, or like the breakdowns of marriages that interesting. I didn't like Sorrow and Bliss for that same reason. And most of it is told from the perspective of the husband, and so much of it was centered around him dating again and being back on the dating apps and hooking up with women all the time. And I was like, don't care for this. But I kept going in the hopes that it would kind of pick up again. And about 70% of the way through, when it started being told from the wife's perspective, I was like, oh, okay, great. But then it just kind of fell flat again, and I think I skipped like the last chapter or two. A classic case of me being too stubborn to put a book down when really I should have put that book down very early on. So unfortunately it wasn't for me. It has loads of glowing reviews. I think I just went into it thinking it was something else, because I literally just read the blurb on the back and I was like, oh, great, and all the glowing reviews on the front. So unfortunately not one for me. When I'm on holiday, I like to read books. I like crime, I like thrillers, I like things that are quite fast-paced, things that grip me, things with twists and turns, things that keep me guessing. So after that, I read Riley Sager's The Only One Left, which is the story of a 17-year-old who back in 1929 was accused of killing her whole family. Basically, her whole family were murdered and she was the only one left alive. And, everything pointed to her committing these murders. However, the police couldn't actually prove it, but forevermore she was known as the girl who killed her whole family. Fast forward, I don't know how many years, but she basically lives in the family home for the rest of her life. And fast forward, she's now in a wheelchair, she's an old woman, she can't walk, she can't talk. And she gets a new carer, and this carer is like hell-bent on finding out what happened. And that's the story. And then all the twists and turns happen and all the guessing and everything. It was a great holiday read. I think I read it in about 48 hours. It was just perfect. 10 out of 10, perfect holiday read for me. And then after that, I read Eliza Clark's Penance. So I have not read Boy Parts. This was my first foray into Eliza Clark's writing. I know a lot of people rave about Boy Parts, and I have added it to my to-be-read list. So Penance is the story of 3 high school girls who torture and kill one of their classmates. And that, I can't remember when that happens, but roughly 10 years later, a journalist wants to write a book, like a full tell-all on what happened. And so the story is told from the journalist's perspective. So it's accounts from family members, people who knew the girls, people who went to school with them, people who live in the town. So it's set in a small town called Crow-on-Sea near Scarborough in England. But it's also largely about just how true crime really exploded on Tumblr, and this whole fandom really kind of got quite intense and quite out of hand. So there are Tumblr excerpts in there as well from the girls who are in the 4 main girls in the story. And it's it was quite a harsh reminder of how tough female friendships in high school can be, especially when, like, how hard and how cruel they can be, especially when things like Tumblr really exploded. So it's interesting. I did really enjoy it. It's told in a way that makes you think it's real, like the way it's structured and everything. I did have to kind of double check several times. Did this actually happen? Is this real? Because a lot of it, you can tell that a lot of what is happening here is referencing things that have happened in real life. Like there's a character within the book who quite clearly is a reference from Jimmy Savile. So it's quite meta in that way, and feels very real in that way. Like it's very clever the way it's done because it feels so real to the point where I had to double check it wasn't real. But it also does get a little bit confusing because of that. Like there were some elements of it where I was like, oh, maybe this could have just been told as a, like structured as a bit more of a sort of like straightforward story. But I still really, really enjoyed it. If you are familiar with that kind of era of Tumblr, then you'll know what I mean. It's quite scary to think how intense things like that did get on Tumblr. Like people trying to figure out, like what really happened with like crimes and the fandom of it all and the fan fiction and that kind of stuff. So yeah, really, really interesting way of telling a story, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then a book I haven't finished, but I did start on holiday, another sort of twisty-turny one, is Karen Slaughter's Pretty Girls. I'm about a third of the way through, so I can't really comment on it, but it does feel like a good sort of whodunit, like what's going to happen, what's the twist kind of book. Excuse me. Highlights out of those, I would say probably Penance. And that is that. So, thank you, as always, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I shall see you in the next one.